Okay, so a formal welcome to all of you on this course on the Equity Next Step course by Bangalore Investors Club, and I'm Dr. Musa here speaking, and we also have Satish and Narayan on this course today, and maybe rest of the day some others will join us as we go along. So, just to set the framework and the expectations about what we're going to learn over the next 5 weekends, 1.5 months, and we're going to connect what all we learn to the rest of real life in terms of what's happening in the markets, what's happening in the world, what's happening in finance. So just to give a very early and quick heads up, and very unusual but excellent timing, I guess. On Tuesday, I don't know if you saw the news, the GST bill has been slotted for discussion in the Rajya Sabha. Okay, and it's long time coming. A lot of expectations have been there. The Congress has toned down, the DMK has toned down, and all that. Now, will it pass or will it not pass? Okay, that's the big moot question. And if it does pass, it has major consequences for many, not only for the country, but for many specific industries, for specific stocks, and stocks will, definitely react to that news. And like this, we're going to definitely have many more events as we go along in the next 6 weeks. And what I want us to do is basically spend as much time as possible in what we discuss here to connect to those events, because in the long term, till quite frankly till the day we die, you're going to see one thing, that almost everything that happens out there you can connect to the markets. And what I'm interested in two things. One is the ifs and buts and the hows and the nuts and bolts about equity investing, and specifically in the Indian markets. But more than that, I'm interested that we develop this ability to intuitively connect the dots in what is happening around in the world. And then when I say connect it to a level where you can take it down and say, this particular stock is likely to react this way or that way. And therefore, maybe I should be buying it or maybe I should be selling it. Now, obviously, an ability like that is not going to happen overnight or in a weekend and all, but as much as we can connect to real world events of all types, political, financial, policy, global, local, weather related, anything and everything that you can think of, you will see has some connect somewhere. So that is one thing. The other thing is, as we go along, I'm going to be suggesting a lot of practical coursework that we could look at, between say this class and the next weekend. And the more you have time, or you can spend some time doing some serious follow-up on that, using real live data, updating data, then I think that's when all the doubts and the confusions will start, and then you'll get a much better practical handle on that, right? Okay. So that now you should be seeing a maze on your screen right now, correct? So it doesn't matter, how clear or unclear it is to you right now. Don't really worry about that. Okay, I'll try and make it a little bit bigger if I can. Okay, that's probably the biggest. Okay. The point is not about the maze. The point is not about knowing each and every item on the maze. The point is this: you and I are here right now, correct? We are on the left right now, and we are here. And where do we want to go? What's each of our goals? I think you're on mute.
Yeah, I said obviously make money on the other side.
Yep, that's where we want to be, right? So very simple question: from here to there, how many routes are there? From here to there, how many routes are there?
It's quite a few.
Quite a few, right? Obviously there's more than one way, right? And from here to there, ultimately you take whatever route. I can take some other route, Satish can take some other route, Narayan can take some other route, but ultimately the goal is to come here. Okay. Now I have a question. If you're going from point A to point B, it could be from Bangalore to, it doesn't matter, Delhi, New York, uh, Chennai, your home village or whatever, what is the route you normally take? What determines which route you take?
The time, shortest time.
Okay, shortest time, anything else?
And good roads.
Shortest time, good roads, all right.
Yeah.
Right. So here's something I want us to consider, right? We say shortest time, we say we want to be the most effective, etc. But I'm proposing that it's probably not that, it's something else. Okay. If you could, let's say going from here to Delhi, it really depends on what you want to achieve. You could take a flight, right? You could drive down, you could take a bus, you could take a train, or you could even hitchhike or go by bullock cart. If you want to really go slowly, explore the countryside, meet people, camp out, you want to rough it out, uh, or simply because the budget is an issue. If you don't have enough money for a flight, you'll take a train or a bus. It doesn't matter if it takes more time, blah, blah, blah. But irrespective of the mode of transport, I'm going to say something else, right? You and I take the route which is actually the most familiar. The most familiar route, not necessarily the cheapest, not necessarily the fastest. And how I like to explain this and illustrate it is, this has happened to me n number of times, okay? So I've traveled from Frasertown to Kormangla for about 15 years when I was in medical school and college and I was working. Then I have visited friends all across town, uh, Baswangudi, Malleshwaram, Hebbal, Whitefield, Sarjapur Road, etc., etc., etc. Right? And then you know what happens? There'll be the time I go to that same place, but I go through not a friend takes me there. I'm not driving this time. Okay. Or I use a cab. And guess what? This friend or the cab driver goes through some side roads. Side roads which I have never ever explored, which I've never turned left or right into. But the point is, I end up arriving at my destination 10, 15, half an hour earlier than my standard route. Okay. Even when you have Google Maps on, you come to a junction and you say, you know, Google is telling me turn left, but I think I'll go straight. This somehow looks better, looks faster or whatever it is, right? You don't trust the map or you think it's taking you inside somewhere and all. And I'm sure we've got lost also with Google Maps and we have that element of doubt. And then you just go down the road and then you realize that maybe Google was right and you could have taken that faster road, right? And what I'm trying to say is this: human beings have just a bias towards going with something which is familiar, and we are not really real. We think it is convenient, we think it is the fastest, we think it is the cheapest, but it is not necessarily so when you actually objectively look inside. If you want to really put this to the test, I would say tomorrow, over the next 1 week, take Uber or an Ola or whatever to some of the farthest places you can go to and see what route that guy takes. Okay, I will bet my life that half the time he will take a route which you are completely unfamiliar with, and the moment he turns off that main road, you're like wondering, why is this guy going this way? Is he trying to jack up the fare or whatever it is? But what he's actually trying to do is save time and not stay on the traffic road and go through the gullies and all and get you there. Get what I'm saying? Right? And then the next time you go to that place, you say, oh, you know what, there is this side road that I can go. There is this deviation which the majority don't know because they just flow with the main traffic or the main road. And familiarity is something which is far more interesting, far more useful as a human concept than actually convenience or being fast or being the cheapest or whatever it is, right? So point here is, when we are on this road, so this is where we want to be by the end of, we want to start off on this road with all earnest. When you go from here to here, my proposition is this: the route you take on this maze is going to be partly be determined, and I wouldn't say partly, actually quite strongly determined and maybe unconsciously determined by, there are going to be some terms here that are familiar to you, right? Not all the terms are familiar to you, I'm sure about that, right? Even I don't know all these terms here and all. Maybe you got your technology guys and you know something about NASDAQ, and you know something about semiconductors, and you know something about I don't know, let me look at if I can, there's something else. Um, Right, or if you're a macro guy, okay, you might enjoy reading up about the old economy, oil, and the Dow Jones and things like that, all right? Or you are somebody who really understands things like what is this beige book, and what is CPI, and what is PPI, and what is consumer substitution, and all these things. And your mind is automatically going to scan this very quickly and then say, you know what, this is familiar. This is a term that I know about, right? And then let's see if there's a road that I can take through that, because that is just simply familiar to me, right? Make sense? The reason I'm saying all this is because you and I are going to go through the next 6 weekends learning a lot of stuff which is very new probably to you. And one of the biggest challenges for the mind is, how do I assimilate all this and integrate it and make it practical and make it useful? So here's what I'm proposing. Start by latching on to the stuff in the next 6 weekends, things that fit in with stuff that you already do in your life, in your work, in your investing, right? So if you are a technology guy and we're talking about, let's say, fundamental valuations of technology, or if, let me put it this way, if you're a finance guy, okay, you just like numbers, then fundamental analysis is something that you will probably enjoy a lot more. If you're not a visual guy, you'll enjoy fundamental analysis a lot more. But if you're a charting guy, you like pictures, you don't really like math, you don't like Excel sheets, you just like to see pictures and you like to draw lines, and you like the idea that charting can give you a better idea, then go with that rather than focus too much on fundamental analysis. The reason I'm saying this is, one thing I'll promise you, you're going to learn a lot of practical techniques in the next 5-6 weekends, and you're not going to be able to apply all those practical techniques 6 weeks from now. You're actually going to probably follow that which appeals to you most. So that is one thing to keep in mind in terms of latching on to stuff. Like I know that Satish, for example, just maybe just for the fun of it, I don't know if he's got any money on the line, likes to track penny stocks, right? Nothing wrong with that, right? But the approach to track penny stocks is different from the approach to track large cap stocks. Now, if you already like penny stocks, then start learning more about how to trade or track or invest in penny stocks, right? Just to put a real possibility on it, and I'm not exaggerating, and I'm not saying this because Satish is here. If you find, a lot of penny stocks will actually not make you money. We all know that, right? But if you are a person who wants to look for multi-baggers, things that go up 2x, 3x, 5x, 10x, right? And I'm saying they do this not in 6 months, maybe take 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. If you're looking for these multi-bagger returns, penny stocks are probably your best bet. 99% of them will go for a dud. There's no doubt about that. But there'll be that one that goes up 100x. That's very difficult to expect from a large cap stock like SBI or L&T or Maruti already. Expecting that to go up 10x or 20x, that's going to be very, very tough. But some unheard of, unknown penny stock going up 10 times, 20 times, 50 times, sure. Be clear about the opportunities, be also clear about the risks, and base it on data that is already there. So what I'm basically saying is, latch on to stuff that you already like, that you already have a bias for, and then pick up the practical skills to make that more practical and make that more money making, right? That is one thing. The other thing that I want you to keep asking as we go along this journey is, in every session, try and have this one question at the back of your mind. Maybe you want to write it in big bold red ink on your paper, or put it as a screensaver, or whatever it is, which is what I'm learning in this section, in this module, relevant to the way I like to do things, or I want to do things? And like and want are two different things, all right? And I have another question, that I can do things. You may like to do something, but you may not have the time for it, right? So just to contrast both of you right now, Satish is, from what I understand, in a full-time job, okay? Narayan, on the other hand, runs a company, right? His own company. He's the boss. Both have opportunities and restrictions, right? Satish may want to do a lot of day trading. Satish may want to do a lot of penny stock picking and all, but his job takes 8-10 hours of his day. There is not much time left with all the other things that you want to do in life in terms of actually pursuing that this is what you like to do, right? I'm sure that makes sense, right? Narayan, on the other hand, he's got a company to run, which means maybe unpredictable schedules with clients, with vendors, with things. So he may have 2, 3, 4 hours, maybe even half a day free every day, but he'll keep getting interrupted with something or the other which keeps popping up that needs his attention. I'm just putting things out there for you to consider your practical environment in terms of time, in terms of resources, in terms of, what is actually possible from the circumstances perspective. And your ideal situation is where what you want to do and what you like to do meets what circumstances permit you to do, right? If those two come together, that's your sweet spot. I think, and if that comes together, consider yourself divinely blessed, right? Because I think most of us struggle with exactly the situation. We want to do so many things, but on the other hand, time, money, family, business, friends, health, all these things come in the way, right? So to be practical, find that sweet spot in every session that we are doing, right? So those two things. So one is look at familiarity and then look at ruthless practicality. Two things, and then I think that you get a lot more effective in terms of where we can head with this course, right? And if you have any questions at any time, just feel free to interrupt and just, say, ask or put it in the chat box and we'll take it from there. Okay. So this, and then all right, so I'm just going to skip this thing. I'll give you a handout of all this whenever we meet next. But so let's just skip this. These are things that I do. Okay, so I think we sort of touched upon that even before we started the session formally. Why are you here? Who are you? And what do you hope to achieve? And then why has this EqNS course been designed? So I just want to put some background to that. All right, I think that's much better. Yeah. All right. So one is, as you will see, significant and huge opportunity for individuals to create substantial wealth. And I want to be very clear what I mean by substantial wealth. Substantial wealth to me means the potential to make money that can distinctly and clearly transform your life and take it to the next level that you desire. Okay, and this is my definition is simple. If you're already earning a lakh a month, okay, and if you earn 1,10,000, 1,20,000, really no big deal. Okay, it's a very marginal difference. Inflation will take away a lot of that so-called extra money that you have earned. We all understand this very well, I think, by now. And then you're saying, you know what? What's the big deal? I'm earning 10K more, but life doesn't seem to have really shifted. But on the other hand, if 1 lakh becomes 1,50,000 at the very minimum, okay, ideally 2 lakhs, then you're really talking about taking it on to the next level, right? You're talking about having the ability, the spending power. That's the word I was looking for. You have the spending power to actually take yourself there, take your family there, take your life there, because at the end of it, without the spending power, it's not happening. Right? It's either you who's spending or somebody else who's spending. So when I say substantial, that is what I mean. Now, whatever that means for you is for you to figure out, right? Now, that doesn't mean it will happen, in the end of 6 weeks, or it's going to happen in a day or two. But if you do commit to the markets in a way that you will see is possible, then I really want you to keep this in mind, that this could perhaps be the first step in a very, 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 very different. I know maybe it's a little too early to say this, but since I know you both, I'm going to say this, in perhaps taking your life in a fundamentally different direction, simply because you're able to create substantial more purchasing power, spending power for yourself and your family. So that's what that number is, you decide. Okay. The other part is a lack of knowledge and a lot of myths and misinformation in the markets. Okay, markets are gambling, markets are manipulated, etc. I'm not saying no to any of that. Okay, but the way it is hyped up in the media. By the way, I just want to address one thing. Markets are manipulated. Markets are scams and all. Well, here's my only question. Tell me which area in anybody's life has no manipulation. You're telling me at your office there's no manipulation. You're telling me in politics there's no manipulation. You're telling me you're not trying to manipulate your neighbor or your uncle or your aunt or something. I'm not saying in a negative way. I'm just saying you have human beings, you're going to have politics. You have politics, you're going to have manipulation. Everybody is trying to get the better of somebody else, right? Unfortunately, that's the stage of our evolution that we are in. At some point, maybe a million years from now, we'll say, everybody should be, we will have utopia here, but forget about that for now, right? So the problem with the markets is because media and a lack of basic understanding of the markets for generations, okay, especially not just in India but especially in Asian or third world countries, the lack of understanding what risk is about, okay, has just compounded this whole thing. So there's a lot of missing knowledge, and the problem is this: when you have lack of knowledge, it is replaced by something else, okay, by wrong concepts, by misinformation, and that's been coming down from generation to generation to generation. Yes, things are changing a lot in the last 5-10 years, but we still have a very long way to go, right? So we're going to address a lot of that in this course. Third, suits a variety of needs and approaches. Now what I mean by that is, to give an analogy, if you want to achieve fitness in life, if you want to be healthy, right, there are a number of things you can do, right? You can go swimming, you can play cricket, you can just go for a walk, you can go weightlifting, you can go to a gym, you can play a team sport, cricket, football, cricket, basketball, whatever it is, or you can do a solo sport. You can climb a mountain, you can do scuba diving, you can do yoga, you can do tai chi, okay, and there's an n number of things that you can do. No matter what you do, with each of their advantages, disadvantages, you are going to be fit. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But which one will you do? Which approach will you take? Are you going to join a gym? Are you going to walk in the park? Or are you going to, maybe on a treadmill? Or are you going to do something with friends? That is a personal choice. Okay, a personal choice which is dictated by availability of time, availability of resources, access to stuff that you need to do what you want to do. You love swimming, but there's no swimming pool. What are you going to do? Right? You like to climb mountains, but no mountains around. What are you going to do? You want to, go to a gym. Sorry, you want to, you want to jog, right? But the roads are crowded. What are you going to do? You'll go to a gym. You may not like stationary stuff in a air-conditioned thing full of smelling of sweat and all, and you like the fresh air. But the problem is you don't have an open road to run on. So you're going to do that. And then is it affordable for you? Okay, you want to do something really nice, it could cost you a lot of money and time, and you don't have that much money or time to spare for that activity, but you still want to have fitness. So maybe you'll end up just doing what you can do but still be fit. In the same way, coming back to the slide that in that maze, right, you and I, all of us, the goal is the same. You want this bag of money, right? But how each one of us is going to approach it is going to be drastically different, is going to be dramatically different. And while I'm all for learning from others as to what he's doing, what she is doing, how others are doing, how the big guys is successful in business or in the markets have done, and reading biographies, talking to successful traders or investors, please note that at the end of the day, it's about you, and it's about how you are going to get there, and what is your need and what is your approach is going to be unique to you. Please do not get distracted by I've done this for a lot of time, and I'm just trying to emphasize this. We tend to idealize others, we tend to put other people on a pedestal, and we tend to think, if I know what that guy knows, if I know what she knows, then I will be like him or her. It doesn't work, right? You will only be like you. You have your own unique set of circumstances, your set of thinking, your risk appetite, your ability, your level of knowledge and experience, and that is what we need to focus on. So what is your need? What is your approach? In terms of trading, let me convert this to the market language. On the one extreme, do you want to be a day trader, right? When I say day trader, I'm talking about approaching that professionally. Do you want to sit in front of the screen from the half an hour before the markets open? So in India, we open at 9:15. You're there in front of the screen from 8:30 in the morning till 3:30 in the afternoon, and you go away only for your your refreshment break, your lunch break, your bathroom break, but you're going to be there. That is your life. That is your profession, right? Nothing less than that. And if you're going to do that, the sort of skills you need, the sort of infrastructure you need, the sort of knowledge you need, the sort of money you're going to put on the line. Now remember, you're making this your primary activity. You're going to make all your money out of it. Just making an assumption here. Okay, it could be a hobby, but I'll go there later. Then if that is the case, simple. Are you willing to put everything else in your life that you do to make money to do this? So that is one extreme. The other extreme is you're a long-term investor. You want to invest for the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, right? You don't have any need for money, regular income right now. Maybe you're doing it for your retirement. Maybe you're doing it for your children. Maybe you're doing it for one big end-of-life project that you have. Maybe you're doing it for inheritance, whatever it is, okay? But you have a long-term approach, in which case, well, you can just forget about short-term stuff and you're looking at long, and the approach to that will be very different. Both will make money, but the way you make money here and the way you make money there are drastically different. It is as good as oil and water. These two techniques will not mix. They will both make money, but they will just not be compatible together. Let me look at it from a different perspective, right? You would like to be a day trader, but time doesn't permit you to do that. So you're forced to look at it in a long-term basis, all right? Or maybe you just don't have the interest. You don't really want to spend that much time, okay? I myself have moved on from being a day trader. I was a day trader for 3 years, about 10 years back. I really loved seeing all these lights go on and off and blink, and it was like, wow, I'm all set, that sort of thing. And then I realized as I grew as a person that this is not really what I want to do. I don't want to, at the end of my life, maybe make a lot of money, but I'm going to ask myself and say, oh, you know what, all I did was morning to evening just looked at screens. I mean, it did not fulfill me at a deeper level. The money was there, but it did not fulfill me. I realized that I'm more of a people person. I'm more of a person who likes to be outdoors, and that was not nourishing that part of me. So I said, okay, let me get into positional. Let me get into more long-term sort of things. Now, I have to then give up on the fact that I'm going to make money every day, every week, every month, but I'm going to make money definitely over a 6-month, 1 year, 2 year time frame. Okay, and the approach to that is very different. So you have to figure this out. And one of the things that I strongly urge you to do, because I don't know how many of us actually spend enough time on this, is understand your life and understand your likes and dislikes at a much deeper level. And I'm saying that only from one perspective. Okay, I'm not trying to tell you you should live your life this way or that. The only reason is that will allow you to effectively leverage the opportunities in the market the way they will work for you, rather than get distracted, right? So I talked about day trading. Let me talk about sort of the other extreme. You want to devote only, let us say, 4 hours in a weekend, okay, or 1 full day in a month to trading or stock markets. Is there a way to still make money? You're not going to look at the markets for 29 days. You're going to look at the markets for 1 day in a month, 12 days in a year. You're going to make good quality long-term investment decisions, and they're going to make money. Do you want to do that? Yes, absolutely. That is also possible, right? So try and figure this out, because I really don't believe that you can recommend or prescribe and say, Narayan, you should do this, Satish, you should do this, Musa, you should do this. I think that is where it is really important for us to figure out what each of us wants, right? And then lastly, the challenges of creating resources for life goals and dreams. These are, whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter what professions we have. There's some things we're all, common. We want a nice house. We want maybe a second house. We want to travel maybe the world. We want maybe 1 or 2 good cars over a lifetime. We want to take care of our children, our retirement, our parents, our in-laws, or whoever it is, our brothers, our sisters. We want to do something. And whatever it is, the challenge in creating that, right? I have not met anybody who's so far said, you know what, I have enough. I know people who have hundreds of crores in wealth, okay, but I have never heard them say, I have enough. They're always like, okay, I want more because there's this thing I want to do for me. This is something I want to provide for my children, blah, blah, blah. And it just goes on. Are some people in a rat race? Yeah, surely. Some of us are in a rat race, but even those of us who are in a rat race like to think we are doing something useful for our lives. So anyway, that's a separate conversation. But here's the thing, the challenges of creating resources for our life. If you actually had all the resources you need, I'm going to put to you that then you're either working because you like the work that you do, or well, you somehow got so stuck in that rat race that you just don't know how to come out of it in spite of having everything that you desired. But bottom line, I think, is we all believe we do not have enough of what we are seeking. And how are you going to do that? Is it going to, this is something I want to say. Is it going to come from a salary? I doubt it, right? Is it going to come from a business? Maybe, may not be. I've seen businesses and friends with businesses go both ways. They struggle, they struggle, they struggle, they struggle, and they're always looking for, is there an easier way, right? And I'm just saying, the markets is something. Investing and trading, whether you do it in the markets, you do it in gold, you do it in real estate or whatever, is something, if it's done scientifically, okay, there is a huge opportunity out there, and we're going to focus on the markets for the reasons that we'll discuss later, right? So that's why this course has been created and structured. What can you expect? You can expect, in hopefully simple English, actionable understanding of terms, of markets, how they work, and the factors that impact prices, okay, an understanding of what would work for you and what would not work for you. And that again brings me back to what I said. Please keep asking yourself this question. Is what is being discussed on this slide in this session something that I like, that I have a feel for, and more than that, can I implement this consistently in the next 6 months, 1 year, 5 years of my life, right? Understanding the time and effort, okay, understanding the time, effort, and resources you will need to generate and manage wealth sensibly and consistently in the markets, right? This thing about time and effort is something that I keep coming back to, because very often what I have seen is, bottom line is this two things. How much time and effort do you commit to an activity is directly proportional to the returns that you get on that activity, right? I will talking a lot more on that as we discuss technicals and fundamental analysis and look at the time effort required for those things. The ability to identify good entry and exit levels based on time-honored techniques, right? Now, here's the thing, good entry and exit levels based on the techniques, not on what you twist the technique to be. And I want to emphasize this because I think one of the things we do not understand many times, especially in the markets, will hit you, is the element of patience, the element of just waiting for the right opportunity, right? If you are a person who looks at scanners, looks at real-time data, looks at a lot of information, you will actually see this opportunity every day. Some stock or the other has moved 5%, 8%, 10%. You're thinking, why didn't I find that stock before? Why is my money not on that, right? If you start looking, you're going to find endless opportunity. But at the end of the day, you cannot go after all opportunities. It's like going to a really rich fishing area and saying, I'm going to catch every fish that comes. Well, you'll catch hundreds of fish in the first half an hour, and you're going to be dead tired after that, right? Which fish do you want? That big, nice, healthy, fat one, or do you want a whole, then if you want that big one, that big salmon fish and all, you need a nice long fishing rod, you need a lot of patience, you just need to wait. But if you want to catch a lot of small fish, a lot of sardines, you need a net. You're not going to do that through a fishing rod, you're going to do that to a net, and just put that net, leave it there for half an hour, and you've caught, made your catch. But is that what you want? Versus do you want that big one thing that will come maybe once in 4 hours, once in a day, maybe once in 2 days, right? There, it is a question of then waiting, because these techniques that I'm going to discuss have been tested in time. You can test it yourself, and then it's your ability to stick to how it should be done rather than tweaking it too much. I'll definitely give you, well, maybe I should remove this homework, not homework, but coursework, right? And then it's really up to you about what you do with that, right? And definitely expect all your questions to be answered. What should you not expect? Okay, so let's get a little clear about that also.
Musa, which slide you were in? Slide number?
This was, what can you expect? This is slide 7.
7 is it? Okay. Actually, my slide didn't move. That's what I'm wondering.
Oh, okay, fine. Yeah, maybe something that happens with screen sharing sometimes. If the slide is, okay, what you should see now is slide 8, do not expect. Right? Okay. So
okay.
Yeah, that happens, just let me know. Sometimes you may need to refresh it, sometimes I might need to refresh it, something, whatever. Okay. All right, so don't expect shortcuts and tips. That's definitely not on the agenda. Do not expect that what works for others will work for you. Definitely learn from each other, all of us, and I'm sure there's a lot of stuff I'm going to learn from you guys, right? Be clear that markets have opportunities for everyone, and find your niche. That I think is the most important thing. Find your niche as to how you approach the markets. Again, just for Satish, you know Srini, I know Srini, Vetri is there, and maybe Vinod will join later or whatever it is. I promise you, stay in touch with all of us. We all, as a group, you'll find that 6 months, 1 year, 2 years down the line, especially, probably much earlier actually, you'll see that each one approaches things differently. Even in the same stock, even in the same data, in the same chart, in the same fundamental things, there'll be different views. The point is, find your niche, build that confidence, and make the money. That's the bottom line. For Narayan, Sampath, and you will see that Sampath and you will actually have very different views on how to go about these things in the future, and how you participate in the market and how Sampath participates in the market will be very different. By all means, learn from him, learn from me, learn from whoever you can, but find your niche. Okay. One thing that I want to promise you, and this is a good time to quit the course if you don't like what you hear, is that you will have losses. Right? I promise you, you will have losses, no matter what you do, no matter what you learn, no matter how much experience you have, no matter how wise you are. Okay? It'll happen that you'll do the best analysis possible with the best data available at that point in time, and you will have a loss. Right? I say this especially for people who somehow do not understand the idea that there is an element of chance, there is an element of uncertainty, there's an element of risk, there's a huge element of not knowing things. What we know versus what we know are drastically different. What we know is very little versus what we know is a lot. Okay? And let's also be very practical. You and I at the retail level have the least information, and we are last in the chain of receiving that information. Does that make sense? Right? The CEO of the company already knows, the auditor of the company already knows, the income tax department already knows, the government already knows. Okay, the specialists and the well-connected analysts already know. Then it comes in the newspaper, then it comes on the website, and then you and I don't want to pay for anything, we want everything free. We are last in the chain of receiving information and data. And why is this important? Because those who have this information and data earlier, and those who have the knowledge, experience, and the insight earlier will have already acted on it. The challenge is, do we act early enough, or do we act too late? Okay, this is something I will come back to, right? But anyhow, be very clear that you will have losses no matter what you do. Do not expect to profit all the time. The bottom line of the game is very simple. As long as you make more than you lose, right? As long as you make more than you lose, as long as you let your profits run, not your losses run, as long as you are able to cut out your losses as early as possible in the game and let the profits run, that is what, these are the key skills, emotionally especially, that we're going to have to develop. Of course, don't expect to learn everything in one day, and do not expect the learning to be easy. Okay? All right. So going on to the next slide. All right. So the next one is actually what is equity and why equity. Before that, any questions on what I've discussed so far? Clear? Right? In terms of expectations, especially what to expect and what not to expect. Okay. All right. Okay.